It shows that it's recording, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. I think you can go ahead, Naman.
Okay, folks. So my name is Naman. I am 19-year-old, so don't take me lightly. So today we'll be building a decentralized application, or what you say is Dapps. And okay, so a quick, like I am saying in chat, a quick show of hands, maybe who all are familiar with front-end development, or who all have anytime built a Web 2 app. Okay, so I'm not getting any response. So either way, so I'll be starting, and so prior requirement for this session ideally should be if you have coded any front end app or Web 2 app. So either way, I'll try to make this session a very beginner friendly, and actually at the end of the session, I'll give you tips to ace an hackathon, and also some resources which you can refer to actually be a full stack blockchain developer and build some amazing apps. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Nivedita, it shows that you have disabled screen sharing.
Sorry, give me a minute. Try now.
It's guys, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, so I've also pasted the GitHub repo of the workshop. We'll be coding a donation app, and it contains all the codes which you need to, like, if you want to refer, you can refer this. And okay, so I'll first start with showing you the remix contract that we need. Okay, guys, so wait. Okay, so for this workshop, we will make a donation tab, and for that I have written a very simple smart contract. And I assume you have some Solidity knowledge now, since prior to this session you had a Solidity workshop. So the contract is, I try to keep it very simple. We will be making a struct organization which has ID, owner, name, target, and amount collected, and parameter image. So it will have only create organization function, which creates an organization, and a get organizations, which returns all the organizations which are made, and a donate, so which just has a single parameter ID, and which allows you to donate to the organization which is already registered. So we'll be sending all the amount which is donated to the person who is the owner. So this makes a payable, and sends the amount to the organization owner. So right, so this is a very simple smart contract, and yes, so I think I'll start with now the front-end development part. So I pasted some commands for you to run, which basically does is starts a Next.js app for you. And so what is Next.js app? I think many of you are not familiar much. So Next.js app is a simple React framework, and the main benefit of Next.js app is it uses server-side rendering, which makes your app faster, and you don't need to do the make some routes and all that is already there. And we'll be also be using Tailwind CSS. So I think many of you might not be familiar with Tailwind CSS because this is a beginner friendly workshop. So what you all can do is, since it is simple CSS, focus on the part which is DApp part, and Tailwind you can look at after the workshop. So I've also written some basic thing, right? So an application with the capability to interact with the blockchain is called decentralized application. And in this workshop, what we are going to do is we have written a simple smart contract and connected into the front end. Now, since you had a smart contract workshop, a smart contract has a two main components, which ideally should be a contract address and contract API. These only are the two things which you need to connect to the front end. And after these two things, it's simply just JavaScript. And I hope you have some knowledge of JavaScript. And also there are various SDKs which lets you connect the smart contract even without the API. So you don't even need the API. Because technically the API can be extracted from the contract address under the hood, right? So to make a dApp, there are two ways. One is a native way and one is a simple way. So native way is actually harder because in native way, we only use Ethers.js or Web3.js or Web3 model, which technically you have to write everything on your own. But the simple way is that, which is actually best for hackathons, you use some libraries like Wagami or RainbowKit, which are really simple and which are built on top of Ethers.js. And they are very fast to use and they are very easy to use. So if you have some React experience, they would be you will be good to go in a second. And Wagami is built on top of Ethers.js and which provides easy to use hooks. So one thing I also want to mention, we are getting started, is that you must use developer docs, and developer docs are your best friend. Don't be shy and just, open the docs whenever you write anything. And you can also use ChatGPT. Even sometimes when I face errors, you you must open docs by your side and code around. So I'll also tell you basic things. I think I'm not open either. Yes, right. So you must refer these docs whenever you get some errors. So there's a basic intro, like Ethers.js library aims to complete and compact library. So it is a native library. Like uh, if you see Wagami is actually built on top of Ethers.js. So it has very easy to use hooks. You might want to take a look at this after the workshop. And we also have RainbowKit. So RainbowKit is also really simple. And RainbowKit is actually used to have this connect wallet button, which is very easy and one-liner code. So this is a basic intro to the tech stack we'll be using. Right. So I think we should start with the coding part now. I hope you have installed all these dependencies. If you have installed Tailwind, these all dependencies should be there, and Wagmi and React Toastify. I hope you have installed all these dependencies. If you have not, I have posted the GitHub repo link. You can fork it and get started. You can do npii, and all the dependencies will be installed. Um, Make sure to paste this if you want to use Tailwind. Right. So, so first we'll be like actually to use RainbowKit and Wagmi, we have to import the containers and actually wrap all this into the Rainbow and Wagmi container. So how we do that is right. So like I have opened my the complete repo link, and I'll be pasting so that the time is not wasted. And since we have very limited time, it will make it fast. So right. So I have imported connect button and get defaults. These all I'm actually just copy pasting from the docs. So if you have if you see the installation guide, you first have to install it and then simply just paste this code. I till now I do not write this from scratch because this is the basic thing, and you just copy paste it. You don't need to be shy. Just just copy paste it. Right. So now I'll be, so this is configure chains. So configure chains actually tells like which all chains you will be using. So for this DApp, we'll be using Mumbai. On Gorilla, you all must be knowing gas fees is high, and even Gorilla is getting depreciated really soon. And Mumbai is really fast, and the gas fees is very less. So it's more easy to get started with Mumbai and Mumbai testnet. So if you want to use any other, you can import any other, like you can import Gorilla and use that also. So for this, we'll be using Polygon Mumbai, and you may use public provider, but that limits the transaction. So you can also use Alchemy provider, which I have used Alchemy provider and pasted the API key. And this sets up the connectors, and we'll be making a donation app. So I've set it the app name, right? So what I have done is we'll return all these things, right? So we have wrapped our whole components and navbar and everything into the RainbowKit and Wagmi config, which basically allows us to use Wagmi and RainbowKit anywhere in our whole app. So these are optional parameters which you can set. This actually makes it look better. And you must have seen above that we'll be making a navbar. For that, let's make another folder and name it components. And we'll be making a navbar component. Right. So what I have done is I have imported connect button from Rainbow Kit dependency. I have made a navbar component, and simple. I'll be keeping a connect button. I'll be having three links. One is for home, which shows all the dApps, all the organizations which you have made. Create page shows all the you can create the organization from create, and dashboard shows all the organizations that you have created. So we have imported navbar, and we have imported toast container for React Toastify. So toast container, basically when we toast any error, this will show up here. And I think, yes, that's it. We have set up our, I think we should go ahead and do npm run dev to see if it's working. It's getting a byte. Meanwhile, I think it's taking the time. Meanwhile, we go ahead and code in index.js. So this is all the boiler code which you get when you install a next app. So we'll go ahead and just delete all of these things, and we'll go ahead and delete all of these things also. Also, in the beginning of the session, like I told, right. So in the beginning of the session, I told you to connect any contract to the front end, you just need two things. One is contract address and another is ABI. So I hope since you have a Solidity workshop that you know what a ABI is and what a contract address is. So when you deploy the contract, you get a contract address, and ABI is actually tells all about the functions and everything about the smart contracts over the hood, right? So we'll be creating a constant.js, which contains the contact address and the ABI. So I have pasted the contact address and ABI. So if you like want to really get started, you can copy these two things from my GitHub repo and use that to create to like get started. And right, so we have we have pasted the contact address and the ABI. Now I've just imported all the things. I'll tell them about just in a while. Let me paste. Right. So, right, what we are doing here is we are using use provider from Wagmi. What use provider does is, so there are two things. There is a signer, and then we have a provider. What a signer does is it helps to sign a transaction which actually changes the state in a smart contract. And provider is not actually needed, but it's a good thing to which helps to read the state of a smart contract. So whenever you have to write, like there is a function which writes in the smart contract, you use signer, and provider is used when you want to read any state of the smart contract. So you are not actually changing anything in the smart contract, you're just reading on top of it. So you can also use signer to read the things, but just to keep it like segmented, you can also use provider, which is actually a good practice. So I have imported use provider, which is a hook from Wagmi. So I'll also show you like how do you follow all the docs. So like if you want to see what use provider do, you come to the Wagmi docs and you come to the hook section and you see here use provider hook. So it contains some like basic info. Each is a provider must be set up. So you can see what use provider actually do. Right. So we have also made imported contract API and contract address, which we have made in the constant.js file, contract address and contract API. And use data and use effect are the native thing of React application, and we have imported ethers. Ethers is a native library which I talked about in the starting of the session. And we'll be also making a spinner. What a spinner is actually a loader which you get whenever you like do a transaction, and you have to wait because every transaction in Dapps takes some time to process. So you need a spinner which shows that actually a transaction is going through. So I'll make a component for spinner. So this is a very basic CSS thing. I'm not actually that good at CSS, so don't judge me on the visual CSS. But right, so what we are doing is just basic properties. We are just making it rounded a circle and animating it, just making it spin. So it shows like a loader. Right. So we have made a spinner and right. So we have made a spinner. We have imported the link, and now what we are using is we are using the use provider hook, which gives us a provider, and we'll be fetching all the organizations from the contract. So for that, I have used the use state hook to set the orgs and to fetch the orgs, and loading and set loading to just like use whenever you have to show the loader. So another thing I want to mention here is that right. So whenever in Web3, it is whenever you are making a dApp, it is very important to consider the UX perspective. So if you don't show a loader, so that really gives a bad user experience. So how would a user know that their transaction is actually going through? Right. So if you make a loader that shows the user that my transaction is still going through. And another main point is that we are also using React Toastify. So React Toastify, the reason behind that is to show the user that to show the notification that the transaction has successfully gone through, or there is an error or something like that. So and if there is an error, simply just console log it or just show it to the user anyhow, right? So what I have done here is I made a contract instead. So here comes the actual part where you connect to the contract. So please focus on this part. If you've not understood anything up till now, if you don't have any Web2 front-end experience, you might not have understood some part, but here is the main part. Here's the main catch which you should get. So like I told you, you just need two things from a contract, the address and the API. So what I've done here is I've used ethers library to use a contract function and put contract address and contract API, right? And I've used provider here. So like I told, provider is used when you want to read the state, and the signer is used when you want to sign any transaction or change the state of the contract, right? So this is the part where you actually use your contract. This is the main part. And like I want to get all the organizations. So I call the get organization function from my smart contract. I'll show you like in the smart contract, we had a function get organization. So to call this, I simply called the get organization function. And right now our dApp looks like this. So we have a home button, a create button, and a dashboard to show all the organizations we have made. And this is the rainbow button that I was talking about. So if you want to connect it, you can get various options, which is very good UX wise, that a user gets option to connect a MetaMask wallet, a Rainbow wallet, a Coinbase wallet, or a Wallet Connect wallet. So I'll go ahead and connect with MetaMask. So this shows the wallet which is connected with the app and the balance that I have. So if I like change my account from here, this also gets changed here. So if you code it out yourself, this will actually take a lot of time, and it also won't like look good like you are seeing right now. So that's why it is preferred to use Rainbow Kit, especially if you are participating in an hackathon where time is less and you need to write like good UX wise. So this also Rainbow Kit is also very good UX wise, right? So we have used get organization function to fetch all the organizations that are there in the smart contract, and we'll console log it and also set orgs from here and set loading false. So I hope you get all this, right? Okay. So what I have done is simply displayed all our organizations, and here comes the loading part, which I was telling. So if like if the loading is there, I'll show the spinner, and if the loading is not there, I'll simply map through the orgs array and show all the orgs here, right? So there would be like I've done dynamic routing for this because we'll be iterating through the orgs array. This is a basic Web2 part, right? So the main part to learn from this was to connect the contract to the front end, which you have to connect by this, while this, right? So you simply have to access the contract function. You need an address, you need an API and a provider. That's all. So if I save this all, right. So before this session, I just created some orgs and you can actually see that all these are made, right? And now we will go ahead and create and code out the create page. So we have not coded it now, and we'll go ahead and create a create page. So these are all the dependencies, very similar to the previous one. We are importing API address, ether, spinner, and toast, right? And go ahead and paste whole code, right? Right. So what we are doing here is we are simply using the signer this time, because to create an organization, you have to change the state of the smart contract, right? And we have made a simple form input, update form input, and similarly using also loading and set loading, right? And so here comes the important part. To actually interact with the contract, you similarly make a contract instance, use the contract function, and use contract address and contract API with a signer this time, because this time you'll be actually changing something. So again, you use provider when you read things and use a signer when you change things. Okay. So this time we'll be using a create organization function. So in a smart contract, we have a create organization button. So all the parameters that we need are a string, which is the name of the organization, a target, which tells how much donation the organization needs, and a string, which tells the image address. So to show the organization on the front end, we can simply fetch the image from the link. We can also do this using IPFS, which is like which makes the things complicated. Since this is beginner friendly, I just use a string. right? And this will return the ID of the organization. So ID is how many organizations there are. So this user create organization button, and we have simply just inputted all the fields, and we'll toast that organization has been created successfully. Right. So I guess our create page should now look something like. Okay, I guess. Hmm. Uh, oh, okay. I guess I didn't import the Bagami import, right? So right. So one also important learning from this is you'll face a ton of errors. I even today when I code things, some new errors always pops up. So like I said, developer docs are your best friend. You just Google out things. You don't need to be stuck anywhere. And now we also have a very good friend of ours, ChatGPT. You can also ask him. But the point is sometimes ChatGPT gives small bugs which it doesn't tell. And so you might want to prefer docs more. Right. Hmm, I'm not sure I'm getting this error, but this must be a side error. Right. So we have simply made an organization. I'll go ahead and actually create an organization now. So let's search out any organization. Right. So let's go ahead and let us register this organization. So this is, let's simply go ahead and copy its name. And we need image URL. So we go and use this image. And the target amount, I can set like 8. I can set 8 is the matic. So I now go ahead and create the organization. So you can see this loader. The spinner which I was telling is this loader. So like I am right now doing a transaction, right? So to show the user that the transaction is going through, I should show something which tells it that something is going through. So that's why I've used a spinner. There are also many other creative things that I have seen that people use, maybe make a different type of loader or something. So just to show that something is going on, you must use a loader, which is very important for user experience wise, right? So I'll go ahead and confirm it. So you can see this is React Toastify. What React Toastify do is it displays the message. So like I've created the organization to show the user that the organization is created successfully. Um, I've shown using React Toastify. You can also use any other library, which I don't think actually it is a better option than React Toastify. React Toastify is the best option which you have, and it is actually very simple to use. So right, so we have created our organization successfully. I go ahead and show it. So you can see we have just now created Worldwide Fund for Nature, and it shows up here, right? So we have successfully created our organization. I'll go ahead and show you once again how React Toastify works. So React Toastify, first of all, you need to set it in the app.js directory. You have to import the toast container. toast container tells where the toast should show up. So you import the toast container from React Toastify and show it wherever you want to show it, right? So I have made the toast container here, which is actually just beside the nav bar. So it shows up on the top right corner. And whenever you want to show the React Toastify, you simply uh, import the toast of the React Toastify. And for example, I want to show organization created successfully. So I use the toast and just display the message. So if you see, this is the benefit. This is a single line code, which is very simple to use, right? Yes. So I guess this is a very good learning that you should use React Toastify and a loader. These two things are a must to make a good user experience. Right. So another thing that I want to mention is that we have two things. If you have some larger certainty, you must be doing. We have a ether and we have a GUI and we have a way, right? So whenever we interact with, whenever we write a Solidity smart contract, all the values are given in Y, right? And when we interact with the smart contract, so you must be knowing that one ether is equal to 10 raised to power 18. Yes, I hope I am right. Right, 10 raised to power 18 Y. So the user will not obviously input so many decimals to actually donate something. And it is not only for Ether. So if you have Matic, it is also for Matic. It is also true for Matic. So for example, I want to I just set my target, which using this update form input. So I just now set my target as 9. Was this 9 way or was this 9 matic? So it was actually 9 matic. So how do we add those 18 decimals without actually typing it? We use ethers.utils library. So I had this amount. So this form.input amount was actually 9, but to pass it as an ether, which is like 10 raised to power 18, use utils library from ethers, which multiplies the amount with 10 raised to power 18. Okay, we have less time. Okay. So this was an important part. You must be familiar, you must get familiar with utils library because you actually use it a couple of times, right? So we have created a create page. Now we'll go ahead and quickly make a dashboard page which shows all the organizations we have made. So the dashboard page is actually very similar to the index.js page. We just have to write a if condition. If I am the owner, I want to see it, right? So if you see the dashboard .jsx is very similar to the index.jsx. The only difference is that I just iterate through all the organizations and see if I am the owner owner, then I simply push it into temp array and just set all the orgs as temp array, right? So another a different thing here is that we are using use account from Wagami. So if you would do it natively using ethers.js, this would be a little complicated. So if you use Wagami, it is a simple hook which tells the address which is currently connected to your Dapps, right? So if the address that is connected to your Dapps is the owner, we simply push it to the temp array, or else we don't, right? So our dashboard page should work, right? So these are all the organizations that I made. And if I show you the console, so it shows this equals this, and so we have appended it, but one of them does not, so we have not, and similarly like this, right? So console is also a very good way to get the values. Now the most important part, we'll be making a dynamic route for our organization page to donate, to let the people donate. So in next stage, to make a dynamic route, you actually wrap it in a square brackets and simply write the name and dot .gsx, right? So this is the most important part, because in this we'll actually allow people to donate to the organization, right? So since the time is less, I have copied all the code. And what we'll be doing is, what we have done is, we have very similar to the previous one, because this requires some, this is a little bit big code. We'll be using both signer and both provider, because in this we'll be doing both things. What is that? That is, we also be reading the smart contract and we'll also be writing to the smart contract, right? And we have imported the constants, right? And a simple spinner and toast, right? So what we'll be doing is, first we'll be getting the org ID. That is the slug. I hope that you are familiar with that, because we are making dynamic routes to get the organization. We'll be using the URL, and the main part is the donate part. So how will be donating, right? So we'll be using a contract. We'll be making the instance, and sorry, we have already made an instance. So this is also an important point. So if you want to use your contract again and again, you can just make a single instance. So what I'm done is, I made a single instance and actually use both signer and provider. So I have used a OR function here. If I want to just read the state, I'll use provider. And if I want to change the state, like if I donate, it changes the state, I'll use a signer. So I've used a OR function, which is a good coding practice, right? You are giving both the option and you are just making the instance once. So I made the contract here, and I'll be calling the donate to organization function, which is here. Donate to organization. So it just needs one parameter, that is the ID of the organization. And what it does is, it sends all the money to the organization owner and the value. And this is simple solidity, right? So, right. I have called the donate to organization function and simply donated it. I use toast to show that the donation is successful or donation failed, right? And I think this should work. So if I want to like donate to this, I'll go to its page. Right. So I'm not sure why this error is popping up. This should not pop up, but this is a template error which you can easily cross, and your Dapp works like it should. And
Naman, are you sharing some other screen?
no,
Okay, cool. Because I think it was glitching for me. I'm not sure if it was the same for others.
okay. Okay, is my screen being shown now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So guys, so this is the organization page. So I have opened the WWF organization page. So I'll go ahead and donate something using my second account, right? So I'll go ahead and change my account. I've changed my account now. Like if I want to donate, let's say, so also, this shows the amount collected, which was a parameter in our org. This is amount collected, and this also shows the target amount, right? So we'll go ahead and donate, let's say 0.1 matic. So right now we have balance 3.39, and our other account also had some balance. So what should ideally be done that we'll see a decrease here and see an increase here, because this was the owner and we are donating from this account. So I'll go ahead and donate. So this shows a loader. I hope I'm not facing error. I guess some error might be there. So to speed up things, like I told, there's a full GitHub repo for this code. Okay, I guess the network connection is. Okay, meanwhile it is loading. I'll just right. Right. So this is a GitHub repo. So I've also hosted it here. You can check that out. This uses the same contract address. Okay, I guess my network. Nivedana, is my voice clear?
Yeah, it was breaking in the middle. That's why I had asked.
Right.
But
So
it got better. I thought it was my Wi-Fi, but it got better.
oh, I think there was some connection error from my side.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I can hear your voice better now, so.
Right. Let me share my screen again. Uh, is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Okay, it is loading. I think it should be visible now.
Yeah.
Right. So we were just about to donate, right? Okay. So if I want to donate to this, let's suppose, so I just donate some amount and I click on donate. Okay. I guess it's some network error. Right. So if I want to donate some amount, I'll simply just, what this does is, I go ahead and confirm it. It is still processing. The loader is still showing up. Okay, I guess my network is really bad right now. So what this will do is donate to the owner address. And I think that wraps up our workshop. So I think many of you were really beginner and were not familiar with the front-end development. So to actually start making some dApps, you must have some front-end skills, or you must have some front-end knowledge at the least. So I have already shared the GitHub repo, and it contains all the codes, and you can go through it. And the ending notes, I would give you some tips on hackathon are like the UX is very important in a dApp. So some tips to make it better are give multiple wallet connections to connect, and show loading whenever a transaction or fetching is done. Use try cache block, use rainbow kit, multiple options, right? And also optional one is never show big ETH addresses. Instead use ENS name, or there is a thing called React blockies, which shows the image of an address. So if you see here, so this image is actually from like a React blocky. So this type of image, right? So try Tailwind CSS. I think many of you might not have some knowledge of tailwind CSS, but trust me, try once and you'll never go back. It is really easy to use. It is very fast, and explore other SDKs. So after this hackathon, maybe try other SDKs, protocols. They'll actually give your Dapps some wings, right? So my favorite ones are Third Web, Bioeconomy, Push Protocol, Superbuild, Connects. You might not have any knowledge of them. Please look into them. I have shared the GitHub, so I pasted the screenshots, right? And so I guess a donation was successful. Okay, so try the SDKs protocols, other which gives some like extra benefits which you can't code yourself, right? You use other libraries. And please believe me when I say that hackathons are the best way to learn. And this is coming from my own experience. I was like seeing tutorials, seeing videos, but when you actually code something which you have in mind from yourself, you actually face many bugs, and you try to recall things, right? So try to like participate hackathon, build something new, and build something yourselves. So it is all worth it, because after that you actually learn things which you actually remember, right? So I guess uh, that's it from my side. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer you.
Right. If either if you have any questions, please ask Naman now. And Naman, you share the GitHub here, right? Can you also put
Yes.
it on Telegram, because there are quite a few people who weren't able to join. They'll be
Right,
watching this video at the end when I post it on YouTube. So if you can post it in like the resource section on the Telegram, and
right.
maybe if you let them know how they can reach out to you if they have any questions, then that would be great.
Right. Okay, right. So I'll post it in the Telegram, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
On the GreenPill one.
Okay. I'll post it in the GreenPill hackathon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Shobit and Hassan, do you guys have any questions? Um, okay, if you do, I think you know where to reach Naman. He'll be posting on the he'll be posting on the group anyway. So once you go through his resources, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact him.
Right, guys. So
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
thank you so
I
much.
guess.
Thank you so much, Naman, for your time. A great session. Next time we'll plan something, like maybe like a series. Because yesterday also, like Saurav did the solidity session, and it was
Right.
again, like you need a little bit more time to kind of explore
Right.
things a little better.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll plan something else for sure.
Right.
Right. Thank you so
So
much.
right. Thanks a
Thanks
lot.
guys for joining. Bye
Bye.
bye.